What is going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. So I'm not going to lie here, I was thinking about making this video months ago, but for some odd reason I was like, you know what, let's wait a bit and maybe see how things play out, or maybe I can't be the only one thinking about this. Do you guys also think that the marketing for Motorfest does leave a lot of questions? And it almost makes you feel like, well, like, why'd they do this or why'd they do that? Some of this makes legit no sense. Now, the first thing I do want to mention is we do know we are currently in May here, or at least we're far enough into May to where this game is basically going to be 8 or so months old now, or even 9 months. It's going to get there probably pretty dang fast anyway. This game did come out on September 11th, or at least the earlier versions of it did, or if you wanted to spend the $120 on the other edition, which I did that, for it to go on sale the next month after that was kind of hilarious. But around September 14th, 2023, Motorfest did end up hitting the market for everybody, and they were able to jump into this game and basically enjoy it and try out the new crew game of the franchise. Here is going to be like the new thing after the Crew 2 being out for what, like 5 years. We also had the Crew 1 being out for like 3 or 4 years or whatever, or stuff like that. So this was obviously going to be like a new installment, new map, new engine, new everything in there. But here's what really does confuse me about Motorfest. Yes, the game is a new one, and a lot of players were excited for it, but if the Crew Motorfest really was going to be the new game of the franchise here, and they really did want everybody to play it, why in the world would you actually promote the Crew 2 over Motorfest on basically every platform? Now, a lot of people might be like, well, Block, they didn't actually promote the Crew 2. They were, like, showing some stuff on the game, then they were showing things on Motorfest as well. And sure, that can be a bit true, but here's my issue. Even on every platform I was on, like Instagram or Twitter and stuff like that, everything I saw about the Crew was always about the Crew 2 and not Motorfest, even though the game was out. Funnily enough, the Crew 2 Mad Update came out on November 14th, exactly 1 month after Motorfest even released, and every time I went on any platform, it was always showing me that update over even Motorfest. Like, this is a brand new game, bro. Like, don't you guys think they should actually be promoting Motorfest over it? Why would you be showing something like the Crew 2 more than the new game? Everybody's like, oh, okay, so I'm going to go back on the Crew 2. This update looks dope. Oh, wait a second. Motorfest is a brand new game. Should I even play it? I'm good. I'm going to go back on the Crew 2 and get some of these new cars. There's new skills, all kinds of new stuff being introduced in that Mad update then, so why not get on there? Whereas we obviously have a new game here that the hype was probably not that high on, unfortunately, and even promoting the Crew 2 probably wasn't the best way to get players into Motorfest, even though the game is brand new. And now here we are being in May. Obviously, Motorfest is the new game, and it is going to be the main game now getting updates because the Crew 2 is done. The Crew 1 was obviously removed from everything. Hopefully that comes back one day. Then we do know the Crew 2 is probably going to suffer the same fate as that game did. Now here's the thing about this though, I really do not understand this in a simple way of, well, if you are looking to get as many players as you do want on that game, why would you promote the previous title over the newest title? A good example of this, let's say a new Battlefield game is out, or a lot of players are playing a current Battlefield game. Let's go with 2042. Let's say a lot of people are playing 2042 and they're enjoying it, it's awesome. And then boom, a new Battlefield's coming out, Battlefield 2069. Yeah, I don't know where I'm going with this. But let's say that's the new game though, and they start promoting that a little bit. Oh cool, it's a new game, they show the trailer, bet. Not even a month after that game, though, they're showing a brand new update on 2042. Go check it out, guys. We got new weapons. We got new armor pieces and stuff like that. There's new perks and all kinds of new items to go after. But they're not actually showing a ton of updates on the newest game that was even out. Like, don't you guys think the marketing is going to get a bit overshadowed by that? Like, a lot of people might look and go, okay, 2042's update's looking kind of dope. Why would I get on 2069? Now, what's really confusing about that to me, though, is yes, the game is obviously going to be the new game of the franchise. Why would you actually promote the older game that's been out for around 5 years over the newest game? Like, you're basically not even trying to promote it or get it out there and get people into it. Instead, you're trying to get people into the Crew 2 and play that, even though a brand new game is out, so why not get people into that one? Even though the games are kind of connected with, like, the cars and all that, like, go back on the Crew 2, grind out money, jump back on Motorfest and get the cars. But even then, guys, like, I really do not understand the approach to this. It really doesn't make sense. Now, one thing that's funny about this is I also did see people talking about this on Twitter or X, still always getting that confused a bit there. But I do know people were back then talking like, why would you guys actually promote the Crew 2 while you have a brand new game out over all the marketing for it? I saw way more stuff for the Crew 2 than I was seeing for Motorfest basically everywhere. oh look, the Mad 2 Volume 2 is the last update for the Crew 2, or, one of the last updates approaching the Mad 2, or the Mad Volume 2 update, everybody's like, oh look, new cars and stuff like that. For example, guys, Motorfest was getting less cars in a way than the Crew 2 even was. They were releasing all kinds of new cars into the Crew 2 while Motorfest wasn't getting them. Don't get me wrong, I do know Motorfest had all kinds of new cars like Toyota and stuff like that, but with a lot of these cars being added into the Crew 2 while showing all of those and having dope trailers or like a lot of marketing for them, while Motorfest is sitting over there like, hello, I'm over here. Don't forget about me, please. And then boom, you go on social media and you see the Crew 2's getting the Renault Maxi 5 Turbo, the Gordon Murray Automotive. And you're like, wait a minute, man, I love the Gordon Murray. I've been waiting for these cars. So then you go back onto the Crew 2 while Motorfest is sitting there collecting a crazy amount of dust because you can't even drive those cars in that game. And then boom, they end up adding them into the game in what, like 4 or 5 months later into the game's life cycle. Now, a lot of people might be like, well, I get that blocked, but like, there's probably a different way to look at this, which to be honest, I was thinking about that as well. For example, guys, we do know the Crew 2 obviously had a lot of updates planned before Motorfest even came out. Like, I would almost guarantee most of these cars and the updates for it, like the Mad or the Mad Volume 2, most likely already had like release dates or like a planned time for them to come out, while Motorfest was also planning to come out for that matter. So I can't really get mad at that because they had all that planned and it was most likely something they wanted to do, like have all the cars into the Crew 2 for like a hoorah, or like get people in there going, yeah, like the game's coming to an end, or all the updates will be stopping eventually, check out these dope vehicles. Now, the other thing I did want to touch on, though, is we probably do know the Crew 2 had all of these dope cars coming out and, like, the Mad Volume 2 updates, most likely already being planned out before Motorfest was out, or at least, that game had a planned date to release, and they were like, well, we have all these dope things for the Crew 2, so let's make sure we get that stuff out there. Now, here's what I did want to ask, though. Do you guys actually think it would have been better if they did end up releasing Motorfest maybe around 5 or 6 months later, instead of having the game overlapping the Crew 2 with all of those main updates? Maybe they could have had the game come out in like July or August or something like that. And then boom, you get all of the cars from the Crew 2 like the Gordon Murray Automotive or even the Renault and stuff like that and the Peugeot. And you have all of these dope vehicles being added into Motorfest for the main game coming out. Then they can promote like all the vehicles or like everything in the Crew 2. You get it in Motorfest. You get all the Summit cars and all that, and then the Crew 2 is going to have like the old Summits. And then those can also be promoted like, hey, if y'all missed these cars, they're going to now be rotating in the Summit, so jump back into the Crew 2 and get them. Or jump onto Motorfest and experiment with over 650 different vehicles in there, which I would say would have been a lot better instead of waiting 5 to 6 months to add some of the cars into the game, which I would say a lot of players, even in Motorfest, were probably going back into the Crew 2 driving something like the Gordon Murray Automotive. Now, I do know a lot of the cars in that game probably handle better in Motorfest or even sound better, but I also do know having all those cars on this game when it did come out probably would have been so much better of an experience, instead of a lot of people going like, why y'all like promoting the Crew 2 over Motorfest? And for me, though, that's probably one of the most confusing parts about it. Like, all the social media platforms I went on, I always saw something about the Crew 2's update, whether it was something about, like, the Gordon Murray cars being shown, or the brand new Mad update is coming out, guys. Jump in there, we have new skills, the Motor Pass is going away, there's all kinds of new vehicles coming out. Meanwhile, that was literally a month after Motorfest even was released, and they're promoting this. Overall, the cool stuff in Motorfest, maybe they were afraid to promote it. Maybe they just did not have enough confidence in the game that maybe they were like, let's go promote the Crew 2. A lot more people are still on this. Let's go see if we can get these people into this game more, than maybe later on we can actually move them over to Motorfest afterwards. Either way, guys, I would say a lot of this has been incredibly confusing to me, especially when it comes to the marketing of it. But besides all that, though, guys, I would like to know your thoughts on this in the comments below. I also do know that I can't be the only one. I really do feel like a lot of players were looking back like, wait a second, why were they overlapping the marketing, whereas this game was obviously brand new, and they were promoting an old game that was 5 years old over the brand new game? Like, I think we can all agree that was easily going to hurt it, and which it obviously did hurt that. Like, this game probably should have came out later, and then boom, add everything into it and like promote it even bigger than they did before. And I do feel like the hype would have been higher, all the overall like gameplay, all kinds of new content in there probably would have been a lot better. Overall, though, guys, let me know your thoughts on this in the comments below, and hopefully it doesn't repeat this process in the future.